Oil prices have surged after Israel struck Iran, but what could escalation in the Middle East mean globally? This is Macro Matters, and we're talking oil markets. Brent crude jumped as much as 14% during Asian trading on Friday morning as the Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities spark fears of a broader conflict. Homayoun Falakshahi is a senior oil analyst at Kpler. Homayoun, what's the market's biggest fear then at this moment? That Iran could choose to retaliate against oil infrastructure?
Hi, Elena. I think that one of the biggest fears is really down to the Strait of Hormuz, which, as you said, very significant choke point where one-fifth of global consumption passes every day. Actually, it's a bit less. Our latest number from last month shows a bit less than 15 million barrels per day of oil passing via the strait. So that's about 15%, a bit less of global oil consumption, but it's still about one-third of total oil that is traded globally, seaborne, on tankers. So very significant. So I think this is the main risk that the market is watching. I think that those risks remain very limited so far. We would expect a closure of the strait only as a, let's say, last option for Iran. And so far we think the retaliation from Iran will remain limited to military sites in Israel. So far it's really constrained to nuclear and military infrastructure.
Where does this rising tension leave OPEC plus oil producers in the Gulf, though?
Yeah, I think they're in a very uncomfortable situation. Even though in the past couple of years, the main leaders of OPEC plus on the other side of the Persian Gulf have improved their relationship with Iran, the likes of Saudi Arabia and the UAE. So they are all calling for and doing a lot of diplomatic efforts to call on de-escalation. I think it's hard to see de-escalation as long as Iran hasn't at least officially retaliated. But I think what's important is the level of damage that Iran will be able to do this time, and whether that will lead to further escalation. So that's I think one of the key questions here from Iran's retaliation. And when you look at the other Gulf producers and OPEC plus, they are worried that the situation escalates and that potentially some of their facilities get hit or the Strait of Hormuz gets closed, which will prevent them from exporting their crude to global markets.
Global crude prices, of course, are coming into this crisis at a relatively low level, but how much higher could prices go?
I think, again, the extreme situation would be a closure of the Strait of Hormuz, given its importance in global oil trade. The impact on oil would be very massive, and for sure we'll be seeing triple digits again for Brent, and potentially way above. I don't want to give a number, but I would say that we could easily see Brent reach $120 per barrel again. I think we're not there yet. Again, obviously, this is a very last resort option for Iran. I think in the short term, things are most likely going to remain limited and constrained to the military sites. But I think nevertheless we still should see volatile markets in the next few sessions. And whenever there's rumors that we will see missile launches from Iran or from another attack from Israel, we'll see prices react. So I think it's dangerous right now to be a short in this market environment.
What about the US reaction to higher oil? We know that President Trump doesn't want that. So what levers might the US try to pull to bring it back down?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to see the U.S. strongly having an impact here. It seems that the Trump administration had tried for weeks to prevent from such strikes from happening. Now I saw before our interview that Donald Trump said I had given a 2 month window to Iran, and that expired, so that's why this happened, meaning that he kind of gave the green light to Israel. But as you said, the President Trump yesterday, even before the attacks, complained against high oil prices, despite the fact that prices had actually dropped since he took office. So I think yes, he's going to significantly weigh as much as he can on this issue. And at least the best situation for the U.S. would be to see a retaliation from Iran, but a not too I would say, provocative retaliation so that it doesn't spill onto the energy infrastructure. As long as it remains constrained on the military side, I guess the US would still be okay with the outcome.
That was Homayoun Falakshahi of Kpler. Don't forget you can watch more videos on Reuters.com.